Welcome to a new session, and in this session we are going to see how to set up a NAT instance. Okay, so in the previous session we learned how to set up a NAT gateway, and now we are going to do the NAT instance. So what is the primary difference between using a NAT gateway and NAT instances? So NAT gateways are usually smaller instances, and they have a very limited amount of capacity in allowing and managing traffic. So let's say you have a very considerably huge private server environment, and you want all the instances to have a constant communication to the outside world. So in that case we need an instance which is which can cater to the requirements of the private subnet, right? So that is the reason we use the NAT instance. Okay. So in this demonstration, let's go and see how to set up the NAT instance and how to make the server which is within the private subnet communicate to the outside world. All right, it's going to be very interesting there. So the first step, we have one public server and one private server. We have both of them set up already. And as for the VPC, I have two subnets here. So within the custom VPC, I have two subnets, and one of them is the public subnet, and that is under the 10.0.10/24 network series, and the private subnet is using 10.0.20 network series, and they are under the 2A and 2B. So public is on 2A and private is on 2B at the moment. All right, good. So how am I going to set it up now? So let's go to the instances. So when we did the NAT gateway, what we did was we went to the VPC management, and from there we used the NAT gateways. But as for the NAT instances, we have to go and click on launch instance, and here search for NAT. Okay, so when you search for NAT, you will be getting something like 50 results in AWS Marketplace and 425 results in the community AMIs. So click on this 425 results, search for the Amazon Linux one, and I always prefer to use the 6FD3582 because it is quite stable, and it works successfully most of the times for me, or not most of the times, almost all the time it works fine for me. And this is EBS root device with HVM. All right, so go ahead and select this. And for this demonstration, let's use T2 Micro. But you see, we have the options to use the larger instances also. So remember, if you're going to be having, as I told you earlier, if you're going to be having a considerably huge private network, plan your NAT instance accordingly. All right. So next, click on configure instance details. And the important part is we have to select the custom VPC and make sure you're putting it into the public subnet, because we need a public IP address for the NAT instance, right? Okay, so by default the auto assign IP is disabled. Select it to enable. Add storage. So currently it is showing as magnetic storage. So if you want to use it as magnetic storage, you can leave it there, or if you want to go for SSD, you can go for SSD. All right, I'll leave it as magnetic storage only here. I'll add tags, configure security group, and this is the key here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new security group for the NAT instance alone. I'll call this as NAT SG. Okay, NAT security group, and one of them I need is the SSH from outside world. Then there's going to be HTTP communications, right? So I'll use that. Then I'll need the HTTPS communications also. I will use the HTTPS is set, and I'll add the ICMP also. All right, just for test purposes. But in real time, you don't have to open the ICMP. All right, you can just leave it as it is. Okay, this is only for the testing purposes. I'm opening the ICMP. Okay, so here it is saying because you remember we changed the default storage type to magnetic, so that's why it is asking if you want to change it by default going forward. I don't want to do that, so I'll say continue with magnetic as the boot volume for this instance only. All right, or let's switch to the SSD again, because I think SSDs are going to be a bit faster. All right, so I'll change it to SSD, but we can leave it in magnetic also. I just want to make sure that, I just want to see to that, the demonstration is quite faster. So I'm going to use the Ohio key pair, which is already generated. And remember, I've already converted this PEM file into the PPK file. I've already uploaded the PPK file into the public server using WinSCP. I've done all those tasks in the previous session itself. All right. Okay. Coming back here now. Yeah, let's just wait for a bit, because we're just looking only for the, we're searching only for the running instances. So that's why it's not showing for us. Just give it a few seconds there. We should see the NAT instance coming up. Right, so there we go. We can see that. Make sure to rename this, okay? Because there are going to be a lot of instances within your environment. So you want to have a clear, visibility of your instance. All right. And there is one important step that you need to perform here. Okay. So select the NAT instance, click on Actions, go to Networking, and under the Networking, you have this option which is called as Change Source and Destination Check. All right. So click on this, and source destination checking, stop this. Okay. I've given in detail about what is the source and destination check and why it needs to be disabled more in the detailed documentation, in the PPTs and in the LMS. So, yeah. So, yes, it is initializing. It's got the public IP address. Now, the next step is, let's go ahead and log on to the primary instance. Okay. I have the pub server. Let me go and connect to it. All right. Let it connect. Yeah. Let me switch to root. Okay. Now let me make sure that I can see the PEM file. Yes, the PEM file is there. Let me check on the permissions. The permissions is 600. I set it as 600. Usually it was 644, but I changed it to 600. Okay. So let me check out what's the private IP address. The private server IP address is 10.0.2.199. Let me copy that. So it's going to be SSH-I AWS-KP-Ohio.pem EC2-user at, and let me paste the IP address. That's 10.0.2.199. So yes, I've logged into the secure server, which is within the secure network. Now let me try to ping to the outside world. Nothing is happening. All right. Why? Because we haven't updated the routing table yet. So we need to go and update the routing table relevant to the private subnet. So the private subnet is here. So that needs to be aware of how to communicate to the outside world. Add route, and I want to communicate to the outside world. It's 0000/0, and your target is an instance here. Right? So click on instance, and you're going to see all the instances. So select the NAT instance one, just to make sure that you're selecting the right instance. Then click on Save Changes. All right. So it is showing as active. Give it a while. Okay. And let's see what's happening now. See. So now I am able to ping and communicate to the outside world from the server which is located within a private subnet only. Alright. And let's say if I want to run an update, let me do that. Yum update -y. Okay, gotta be the root. That's correct. Yum update -y. So it's completely up to date. Let me try to install Nano if it is not there. Nano is also installed. Yeah, so that's pretty much about the NAT instance. But remember, your instance, you're not going to be paying any separate fees for your charges for using the NAT instance. It's going to be charged according to the T2 micro usage, or whichever instance type you're going to be using. And it's going to be pretty effective because as your environment is going to grow, you can go and start deploying a more wider NAT instance to have more network traffic flow through there. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll meet you in another session.